Then came the pressure of a seeing power. When all these things were happening, kind of a preparation, turmoil, creation, ambition, life force. Then came the pressure of a seeing power. The seeing power, this early mind, that intelligence, that seeing idea, this pressure plus seeing power. The seeing idea is pressure that drew all into a dancing turbid mass, circling around a single luminous point, center of reference, and a conscious field, figure of unitary light within unitary light, which joins, combines, unites all together. That's unitary light. Then came the pressure of a seeing power, that intelligence, that seeing idea. It is that pressure which is making all things, that drew all into a dancing turbid mass, a gathering coming together, you see, turbid mass, because it is in the life field, you see, circling around a single luminous point, that idea, you see, center of reference and a conscious field, figure of unitary light within figure. So it itself is a small little figure of light coming here, unitary. It lit the impulse of the half sentient flood. Half sentient. Some little awakening, some little awareness has come here. Therefore, half flood. See again that image of flood is coming, that current is coming, you see. Even an illusion gave of fixity, as if a sea could serve as a firm soil. That's the illusion. That the sea could be soil, a firm ground for work. That's the illusion. But it gives that illusion also to them. It lit the impulse of the half sentient flood. Half sentient, it has become slightly aware, just started becoming aware because the life mind is appearing here. It lit the impulse of the half sentient flood. Even an illusion gave. Obviously, it looks like that, but it's not really so. But it has done its job. That illusion has created its job. See, otherwise it is impossible to imagine that the sea can be a ground for walking, that you can walk on the sea like that, you see. But it gives a kind of illusion, yes, you can do that sort of a thing, you see. Even an illusion gave of fixity, as if a sea could serve as a firm soil. That strange absorbing power imposed its sight, that early mind, that strange observing power, that seeing idea, that intelligence, that is the observing power, you see. That strange observing power. See, in fact, he has used the same phrase earlier, observing power. Seeing power. Earlier it was pressure of a seeing power. Now it is the observing power. Strange observing power imposed its sight. It forced on flux a limit and a shape. Flux, what is constantly changing, it is on that, it is giving a kind of firmness. See, life is constantly changing its form because of the presence of death, constantly changing its form. But at the same time, a certain amount of fixity is given by this shape, by this mind. As long as it is there, it is present definitely. It forces on flux, which is constantly limit and shape. It is a great thing it has done. As I said, the mind is a thing which gives you a measure, a form, a certain definiteness, a certain point of reference, you see, individuality, character, you see. It gave a stream a lower, narrow bank. Well, that is how it is moving. Drew lines to snare the spirit's formlessness. The spirit which has no form. In fact, even earlier than that, life had no form. You see, life before entering into matter was always the same, constantly. Maybe there were forms, but then they are of no avail. They were fixed forms. But when life has entered into matter and death appeared, that continuity of life which is there, that is broken up. And it is that continuity, broken continuity, it is that gives you kind of a shape and movement and a possibility of newer and better and higher expressions. Because of that, expressions can come out, you see. It drew lines to snare the spirit's formlessness. the spirit which has no form, which has not taken any shape at all here. The cell, Atman, is there continuously, but it has no shape at all, no form. What is the use of it? But then to give shape to that cell, to that Atman, this is the process. Life is doing, mind is doing, certain definiteness, concreteness to it, you see. Drew lines to snare. So as if it is attracting, catching, seizing Atman into this form, spirit into this process. It fashioned the life mind of bird and beast, that intelligence, the seeing power, that intelligence, that observing power, the seeing power, that intelligence, or that seeing idea, they are the same. It fashioned the life mind of bird and beast. So, animals, they have a mind, but it is a love mind. It is a mind which is based on life. It has no proper mind. Mind proper is not there. Even in the highly evolved animals, even the chimpanzee, which may be very close to man's mind, still it is an animal mind. It is a vital mind. It is a life mind. It is not mind proper yet, you see. That is why the line says, ape-like man. Man was born from an ape-like creature. Ape-like. He doesn't say ape. Man has not come from ape. Man has come from an ape-like creature. Life has evolved a form which is of an ape, but that form is now amenable for the mind to enter and occupy it. That is why ape-like man, you see. A finite movement of the infinite came winging its way through a wide air of time. What a joyous moment to see. It's a real joyous moment to see. A finite movement of the infinite, which is not yet broken, but once finite, bits like that. See, continuity wants. It's like you have got to see, all right, but sea is okay, but what I want are not, is not sea. I want drops of water. To get drops of water from the sea, that's a miracle. That's a miracle. You spray out and then you get drops of water. It is the mind which is doing that sort of thing. Spray, pump, and then you get drops of water. A finite movement into the infinite came winging its way through a wide air of time. A march of knowledge moved in nation. So this is the progress of knowledge itself. There was no idea, no aim at all about this thing, but now the knowledge has started moving forward. Where? It has yet at the moment it started moving in nations. Our progress is from more ignorance to less ignorance. Our progress of the mental being of man, it is from more ignorance to less ignorance. It is still in ignorance. It is still in ignorance. Now what is going to happen, what has to happen, what must happen, what we aspire to happen, what is there in the scheme of things is not from more ignorance to less ignorance, not from ignorance to knowledge, it is from knowledge to greater knowledge, knowledge to knowledge to knowledge to knowledge. That is the divine possibility of the new race of the coming. Progress in the field of knowledge. See, once you have entered the field of knowledge, it does not mean that you have got every knowledge, but you can bring out new expressions of knowledge, new possibilities of knowledge, new potentialities of knowledge can come into creation. And those are the things which will start appearing when the divine life is present here, you see. Those are the things which will start happening. A march of knowledge moved in decision and guarded in the form a separate soul. Now this march is guarding each separate soul individually against the siege of death, against the attack of vital forces. It is guarding that, and that is how it is moving forward. Its right to be immortal, it reserved. Its right to be immortal, its right to be immortal. And the siege of death, against the siege of death, the death has surrounded the whole thing completely. Life is completely surrounded. It is not allowing new things to enter into it. But then this entity, this seeing power, observing power, is working out something against the siege of death itself. Death is preventing higher and better forces to enter into the picture here. But then this is trying to push forward, this is trying to move forward. It's right to be immortal, it reserved right to be immortal. Actually, it is immortal. But then it wants to be immortal in this changing flux, in this constantly altering situation of life. Life is changing form constantly. Life is governed by death. It is broken up into parts. It is under the circumstance that this immortal is trying to remain immortal in this changing scene, immortal scene. Its right to be immortal, it reserved, it will not allow death to come and spoil its immortality. It cannot damage, it cannot cause harm to its immortality at all, you see. Actually, immortal it is reserved. This is the immortal within us. There is the deep soul within us which is immortal, and it is seated in the field of mortality. The deep soul within us is in the working in the field of mortality. But then it remains mortal. It remains immortal. It does not get away. It works in its own way. It is a kind of an alchemic agent. It is a kind of a mechanism by which this immortal can bring out more and more of immortality in the mortal world. The mortal world has a possibility of immortality. It is that which this immortal is bringing out in a more and more consistent way. That is the alchemic agency. That is the mechanism. That is the purpose for this immortal being seated within us. Its right to be immortal, it reserved. Yes, it will not forego, whatever may be the circumstance. Build a wall against the siege of death. Siege of death. The siege of Troy, you see, the famous siege of Troy is there. In the world, you have got every kind of provision in the fort, in the city, but then no new fresh provisions can enter in. When the siege is there, when the Greek laid the siege against Troy, no new provision could enter it. It may last for a few years, whatever time it may be, but ultimately it gets exhausted and you'll be nowhere. The siege of Troy lasted for 10 years, but then they had so many provisions and they could still carry on without that thing, you see, siege of Troy. Siege of Troy. It's right to be immortal, but then ultimately the siege was broken. That wall was broken by the Trojan horse and entered in the sea. That is how the Trojan. It's right to be immortal, it is reserved, but build a wall against the siege of death and drew a hook to clutch eternity. What for all these things? This intelligence, this all-seeing power, for what? To bring the aspect of eternity into the movement, into the motion of time, to bring those aspects. It is for that purpose is this power working. And drew a hook to clutch eternity. Yeah.
Can we say that death is part of mind of night?
Manome?
Mind of night and death.
No, mind of night had a specific role to prevent the formation which have taken place being swallowed by void. Mind has given a certain kind of a rigidity, a firmness, a strength to the forms which are created, that those forms would not get swallowed by the hungry void. The hungry void would simply swallow them up. To prevent their getting swallowed by the hungry void, mind of night has given a kind of a fixity form. So, you know what, the void is incapable of swallowing those forms now. See, as if it wants bits. If it is bits, it can. But when you have a lump of thing, the void cannot swallow the lump, as if like that. You see. To prevent the swallowing of the forms which have taken place by the void, the hungry void is there to take up whatever is required. To prevent that, you had the mind of night, which prevents that kind of a thing happen. It gives a firmness, fixity.
Yeah, but death is different.
That's a different thing. That's different. Here, the siege of night is, see, There is a moment there, but then there is a death also, constantly changing thing. There is a flux. There is a flux, you see, constantly changing. To prevent that, but that flux is in a way necessary, in a useful to move forward. But at the same time, it is not allowing things to happen also. So this, but build a wall against the siege of death. This immortal, the immortal is there, all right, but the immortal is there for what purpose? Not to remain just like that, static, stationary, fixed. The immortal is there in me, but the immortal is not happy at all being just being there. It wants progress, it wants new expression, it wants new creation to come out constantly. It is that urge of the immortal which is there. Otherwise, having a individual who is immortal in me of no use to me. Of no use to me, you see. It's like saying, yeah, I got a very precious stone, precious jewel, precious diamond, whatever it is. Well, you may be happy, you may feel elated, whatnot, you see, with that precious jewel or necklace or what you want to call it, you see. It is of no use to you. That preciousness is of no use to you, of no consequence. Unless you see in that precious stone some sort of a divine presence. Unless you see, it is not just a stone, it is holding some kind of power of the spirit in it, and that power of the spirit is working in me. If I am able to do that thing, then that immortal has a value. If it is simply sitting like a stone in my ring, as a stone, it is of no use to me. But that is a dynamic, operative, expanding presence which is there in me, immortal. And it works here, you see. So the purpose of a stone in the ring, it is charged. It means that it is pushing you, driving you further, you see. It is not simply. So that is the immortal purpose here. Reserved. And naturally it will not allow things to happen. And drew a hook to clutch eternity. What a strong phrase. To clutch eternity. To hold eternity. In the hold eternity. Where? In the drifting hour. In the changing time. In the moment. To hold eternity.